Captain James Morrison stood at the center of the Aurora's bridge, staring out at the endless black of space where an alien armada glimmered like cold steel blades suspended among the stars. 30 ships, each one double the size of his own, sat in perfect formation and waited in absolute silence. It had been 3 long months since humanity first encountered the Zenari Dominion, and those months had been filled with one humiliating meeting after another, their representatives speaking, with that same cool contempt that made James's stomach twist every time he thought about it. The Zenari claimed they spoke for 12 ancient species, each one supposedly wiser and more advanced than humanity could ever hope to be, and they had treated Earth as if it were some unsophisticated tribe that had accidentally stumbled into space with sticks and stones instead of starships. When Earth had finally unlocked faster-than-light travel and slipped across the border of Zenari-controlled territory, the Dominion sent a message that sounded polite on the surface, but felt like a knife held against humanity's throat. They offered what they called an integration program. It sounded reasonable at first, even generous, but James had read the actual terms and knew it was little more than a velvet-wrapped prison sentence. Humanity would be allowed to exist, yes, but only under strict Zenari oversight. Technology would be capped, culture reshaped to fit alien-defined acceptable standards, and Earth's expansion into space permanently restricted. In short, Earth would become a client world, permitted to live but never to grow free again. The Earth Council had debated for weeks, diplomats whispering late into the night, military officers mapping out scenarios they all knew were suicidal. In the end, the answer had been simple, clean, and delivered with human stubbornness that ran deeper than fear. No. No compromises, no surrender, no bowing to alien overlords who claimed superiority because they had been flying around in shiny ships for a few thousand years. And now, James thought grimly, here was the bill for that decision, sitting in front of him in the form of an armada with enough firepower to crack planets. James turned slightly and glanced at Lisa Campbell, his chief engineer for 5 years, who was hunched over her console with an intensity he had rarely seen. Lisa was usually unflappable, even when things exploded around her, but right now, her dark hair fell across her face as her fingers danced furiously over the controls. She wasn't swearing yet, which was worse than when she did. "Captain, they're transmitting something," she said, voice tight, eyes never leaving the screen. "It's not comms. I don't even know what to call it, but it's aimed straight at our reactor core." Lieutenant Commander Stephen Harper, tactical officer and resident cynic of the Aurora, leaned slightly over his panel and muttered, "Other ships are reporting the same thing, sir. Whatever it is, they're doing it to everyone. Guess they don't like fair fights either." The Aurora shuddered faintly, just enough to make James tighten his grip on the railing. "Report," he barked out of reflex, though he already had a bad feeling about the answer. Lisa's jaw tightened as she worked. "It's interfacing with our systems, Captain. Whatever this is, it's advanced, way beyond anything in our database. It's shutting us down one piece at a time. Engines, weapons, backups, all of it. They're not even breaking anything, just telling our ship that it doesn't feel like working anymore. Like someone telling a tired dog to lie down and stay there forever." James's eyes flicked to the tactical display, where icons representing Earth's fleet were blinking out one by one. The Liberty, Admiral Karen Wright's flagship, went dark first, followed by the Defiance and the Hope. The rest were failing just as quickly. The Zenari were dismantling an entire fleet with the push of a button, and humanity could do nothing but watch as it happened. His chest tightened, not just from the fear, but from anger at how clinical it all was. There were no shots fired, no explosions, no chance for heroics, just a slow, suffocating end. "How long before they reach our core systems?" He acid Lisa's fingers were a blur, trying desperately to isolate whatever was invading their computers. 10 minutes, maybe less. "Captain, I have never seen anything like this. It's elegant, I'll give them that. They're not frying circuits or corrupting data, just convincing our systems to stop believing in themselves. You ever see a machine just Give up? Because that's basically what's happening here. Stephen's lips twisted in a humorless grin. So we're being hacked to death by motivational speakers. That's a new one for a brief moment. James almost laughed at the comment, but there wasn't time for it. Humanity had always prided itself on ingenuity, on stubbornness and creative thinking, but none of that mattered when faced with technology centuries ahead of anything Earth had ever built. The Zenari ships were more than weapons. They were monuments to an empire that had probably crushed countless civilizations before humanity even built its first satellite. On the far side of the bridge, communications officer Emma Rodriguez sat, hunched over her console, headphones crooked, hands trembling as she tried to maintain contact with the fleet. She had been fresh out of the academy when she signed on to the Aurora, bright-eyed and excited for the chance to see the galaxy, but right now her face was pale. Captain, no response from the Liberty. The rest are automatic distress beacons. Only no actual voice comms. The main display still showed the Zenari fleet holding perfect formation, advancing slowly like a predator enjoying the chase before finishing the kill. There was no urgency in their movements, no emotion, no sign they even considered this a battle. To them, humanity's resistance was little more than pest control. Adam Turner stepped out of the medbay with a grim expression, clutching his portable scanner. He had volunteered for deep space duty because he believed in the future. But looking at him now, James could see the toll this moment was taking. Captain, I'm monitoring crew vitals. Some of the younger ones are spiking into panic levels. They need to know we're doing something. Anything. James met his eyes, then glanced around the bridge. His crew had followed him into the unknown because they believed humanity had a future among the stars. And here they were, staring down a fleet that could erase that dream in minutes. Lisa, tell me we've got some way out of this, he said quietly. She hesitated, then gave him a look that was half hope and half fear. There's something I've been working on off the clock. Experimental. Dangerous as hell. It links human neural patterns directly into our quantum processing core. It's untested, and if it fails, the neural overload could fry whoever's connected. But it might give us a chance to override their signal. James blinked at her. You're saying you want to plug your brain into a machine designed to process probabilities faster than light? Basically. Yeah, she said flatly. Stephen muttered from his console. Sounds healthy. I vote we try it. What's the worst? That could happen. We die slower? Lisa ignored him, eyes locked on James. Captain, this is insane. But it's the only move we've got. The Zenari tech is built to handle machines, not people. They didn't plan for raw human stubbornness, being uploaded into their party. But I'm warning you, if I do this wrong, I might not wake up again. James took a long breath, then nodded. Do it, Lisa blinked. Sir, do it, engineer. That's an order. Stephen grinned faintly. Nothing like mild brain death to spice up a Tuesday. No one laughed this time. The clock was ticking, and for the first time since stepping into space, James felt what it really meant to be human. Vulnerable, angry, and unwilling to give up no matter how impossible the odds looked. The quantum core chamber of the Aurora was never meant to host people for long. It was designed for machines, for maintenance drones, for engineers working on schematics, not for someone about to fuse their mind with a system capable of computing probabilities faster than any human could comprehend. The walls glowed with pale blue light that pulsed faintly, like the slow heartbeat of something sleeping and far too big to wake. Cables coiled across the floor like snakes, converging on a crystalline core that hummed softly in a tone Lisa could feel more than hear. It was beautiful in an unsettling way, the kind of thing you wanted to stare at while also feeling like you shouldn't be in the same room with it at all. Lisa stood at the threshold, holding the neural interface headset in both hands. It didn't look like much, just a sleek band of metal and wires so thin they looked fragile. But Adam Turner's hands trembled as he adjusted it, double-checking connections. "You sure about this?" he asked, though his tone already said he hated the answer he was going to hear. "Because I'm required to remind you that what you're about to do could leave you brain-fried, comatose, or best-case scenario, you wake up speaking fluent gibberish for the rest of your life." Lisa smirked. "Thanks for the pep talk. Doc, really calming my nerves here." Adam frowned, scanning her vitals. "Your stress levels are already off the chart, and you're about to dump quantum-level processing into your neural pathways. That's like pouring a hurricane through a garden hose. Your brain wasn't built for this." She gave him a quick glance and shrugged. "Neither were parachutes built for falling off cliffs, but here we are. If this doesn't work, we're all dead anyway. I'd rather take my chances in here than sit on the bridge waiting for the lights to go out." The door hissed open, and Captain James Morrison stepped inside, his presence quiet but heavy with unspoken tension. He walked up to her and stopped, just short of reaching out. "Lisa, I have to ask one last time. Are you sure about this? Because if something happens to you, I'm the one who gave the order." She met his eyes, steady and certain. "You gave the order to save the crew, Captain. That's what this is. I'm an engineer, remember? We solve problems even when it kills us," Adam muttered. "Wow, inspirational, but still terrifying." Stephen's voice came crackling through the comms, dry as ever. "Just for the record, if she dies doing this and it somehow works, I call dibs on her tools. She's got that torque spanner I like." Lisa rolled her eyes. "Stephen, if I die, I'm haunting you. And I don't mean cute ghost stuff. I mean hiding your coffee every morning for the rest of your life." Stephen chuckled faintly. "That's fair," James sighed and turned to Adam. "You ready to monitor this?" "I'll monitor, but don't expect me to feel good about it." "This is insane," Adam said, strapping the headset gently onto Lisa's head. "All right, sensors are connected. Neural load tolerance at 60% and climbing. You've still got a chance to back out, Lisa." She grinned faintly, but her hands shook just slightly. "If I back out now, we're just drifting corpses in 10 minutes. So yeah, flip the switch." Adam gave her one last look, then activated the quantum link. Lisa's breath hitched as the world disappeared. Her vision, her sense of body, everything dissolved in an instant. Instead of feeling the floor under her feet or the air on her skin, she felt everything. Every circuit of the ship, every electrical pulse, every shifting quantum state of probability. Data screamed past her faster than thought, faster than she had language for, and her mind recoiled instinctively at the sheer immensity of it. Their body jerked and Adam shouted, "Brainwave spiking! Captain, she's off every known scale. We're over maximum safe levels." James clenched his fists, but didn't move. "Hold steady, Doc," Lisa screamed, a raw, guttural sound as her brain fought to handle the impossible flood of information. Then, like a wave breaking into foam, her consciousness adapted. Instead of trying to process every stream individually, her mind began to see patterns, like watching 100 puzzle pieces suddenly locked together into a single image. She could see the Zanari shutdown signal, too. Not as numbers or code, but as a living, invasive presence whispering to their systems, convincing them to stop, to forget what they were built to do. "Oh," Lisa whispered, her voice carrying across the speakers and straight into their minds. "I see you now, you smug little virus, and you're not welcome. In the engineering bay." The lights flickered, then steadied as power levels surged. Across the ship, dormant consoles blinked to life. Stephen's voice came from the bridge, startled. "Captain, navigation's back. Weapons are rebooting. And, I don't even know how to describe this, but the ship feels different. It feels aware." James frowned. "Aware," as in alive, Lisa's voice answered, but it wasn't just coming from the comm speakers anymore. It was in their ears, their minds, as though the Aurora itself was speaking. "I'm here, Captain. And yes, we're alive. We're connected. The ship and I, we're one now." Adam stared at the readings, wide-eyed. "Her neural signature is stable. I can't explain it, but she's processing quantum data like she was born for it." Lisa laughed softly, but it was a laugh that carried a strange resonance now. "Captain, I can push their shutdown signal back. Actually, more than push it back. I can make it wish it never existed." James exchanged a glance with Adam, then spoke carefully. "Do it." The Aurora shuddered once, hard, then stilled as its systems roared to full power, humming with a pitch none of them had heard before. Shields expanded and rippled with energy patterns beyond standard human tech, weapons charged with efficiency no one could design on paper, and for the first time since the encounter began, they were not prey anymore. They were something else. Entirely. Stephen's voice came through again, incredulous and just slightly amused. "Captain, you're not going to believe this, but the Zanari are hesitating. Like, actually hesitating. I think we scared them." James looked up toward the bridge, camera, and muttered, "Good. Let them wonder what just happened." Lisa's voice whispered again, almost playful now. "Captain, this is only the beginning. The Aurora and we're ready to fight back." And for the first time since leaving Earth, James believed they might actually have a chance. The bridge of the Aurora thrummed with energy, the kind that made hair rise on the back of your neck. It wasn't just the ship's systems roaring back to life. It was the sense that something larger than all of them was moving now, like a giant, waking up after a long sleep. James Morrison stood at the center, gripping the railing as every console lit up in cascading patterns of green and blue, faster and sharper than ever before. It was like watching a dying patient suddenly sit upright, stronger than before, and asking what it had missed. "Captain," Stephen Harper called from tactical, his voice half awe, half disbelief. "All weapon systems are back online. Actually, they're better than online. I've got energy readings here that don't even match our original specs. This thing is doing things I didn't know our guns could do." Emma Rodriguez spun in her chair at comms, eyes wide. "Sir, I'm getting communications across frequencies I didn't even know existed. We're linked to the entire fleet, but not just through normal comms. It's like quantum piggybacking. We're pulling data straight through probability states. I think Lisa's mind is building new comm channels in real time." James looked toward the engineering feed, where Lisa Campbell's body sat motionless in the neural interface chair, wires feeding into her temples. But her voice was everywhere at once. "Captain, I've mapped their shutdown protocol. I'm feeding countermeasures to every ship in the fleet. They'll still need to risk neural integration, but now they know how to survive it. You're telling me you're teaching other engineers to fry their brains like you just did." Adam Turner muttered from his medbay monitor, frowning. "I'm really going to need more medics after this day. Think of it as group evolution," Lisa said lightly, though her voice had a strange undertone now, something not entirely human but still warm. "Besides, I'm fine. Mostly. Don't check my blood pressure, though. You'd have a heart attack." Stephen chuckled, shaking his head. "Great. Our chief engineer is half ship, half smartass now. No offense, Lisa." "None taken," her voice replied from the overhead speakers. "You were already on my haunting list if this killed me anyway, so you're safe for now." A ripple moved through the fleet. One by one, dark ships flickered to life. Admiral Karen Wright's flagship, the Liberty, powered up again, her massive structure glowing as it integrated neural processing through Chief Engineer Bobby Chun. The Dreadnought's architecture lent itself perfectly to the new system. Bobby's tactical experience fused with the ship's strategic arrays, turning the Liberty into something almost frightening, an intelligence built for war and coordination. On the science vessel Discovery, Dr. Maria Santos completed her own link, transforming their experimental lab into a living system of analysis. Alien weapons and shield designs were understood and adapted in seconds, their weaknesses displayed in glowing diagrams before the Zanari could even adjust their targeting systems. "Captain," Lisa's voice echoed, threaded with something like pride. "The fleet is awake, every single ship, And they're different now. Unique. They're adapting based on who they are, on who their crews are. It's beautiful. James stared at the tactical map as every human ship lit up, energy signatures spiking beyond anything humanity had ever dreamed possible. "It's not just us," he murmured. "We didn't just save one ship. We evolved the entire fleet." Emma spun back to her console, blinking rapidly. "Sir, I'm getting messages from... Oh, wow, species we've never even met before. Some of them are asking what just happened to the Zanari protocols. Others are asking if we're hiring," Stephen snorted. "Tell them to send resumes. Special skills required. Not being an arrogant alien overlord." James let out a slow breath. "What are the Zanari doing?" Stephen's grin faded as he studied his screen. "They're holding position, Captain. Not firing, not moving. They're scanning us like they're trying to figure out what they're looking at. I think we scared the hell out of them." Lisa's voice softened. "Their shutdown signal wasn't designed for this. They built it to neutralize machines, not minds. And now we're both. They don't know how to handle that. Oh, and Captain, I've been running probability threads through their fleet. I know what they're going to do before they do it," Adam cut in sharply. "Excuse me? You're predicting the future now?" Lisa laughed, a little surreal with the harmonic echo her voice now carried. "Not predicting, just reading their intentions at a quantum level. Trust me, it's weird on my end too. But it means we have a chance." James turned toward the main display, watching the enemy fleet shimmer against the star field. "How much of a chance?" "A good one if we act first," Lisa said. "We're still outnumbered, but not outclassed anymore. Captain, let me show you what this ship can really do." The bridge crew exchanged glances. Emma bit her lip. "Sir, we just went from sitting ducks to whatever this is. I mean, no offense, but this is insane." "Insane usually works for us," Stephen muttered. "Remember Mars Station 12? Mars Station 12 was an accident," Adam said flatly. "An extremely flammable accident?" James raised a hand, silencing them. "Lisa, you have the helm." There was a pause, and when Lisa spoke again, her voice was calm, steady, but with a strange undercurrent of excitement. "Copy that, Captain. Initiating multi-phase drive recalibration. Hold on to something." The Aurora moved, but it wasn't like any motion they had felt before. It didn't just accelerate, it shifted. For a moment, every crew member felt as though the deck beneath them wasn't entirely solid, like the ship was half in this dimension and half in something else. Stars blurred into ribbons. Reality seemed to tilt, and then the Aurora reappeared, miles from where it had been, without any of the normal time delay associated with faster-than-light jumps. Stephen blinked at his console. "Did we just teleport?" "Technically, no," Lisa said. "We just used probability currents to skip the boring parts of movement. Think of it like hopping over traffic while everyone else sits in rush hour." Emma stared at her readings. "Captain, the Zanari sensors are glitching. They can't even track us. It's like we don't exist where they think we should be." James exhaled slowly. "We just changed the rules of the fight on the display. Human ships began to replicate the Aurora's maneuvers. The Liberty moved like a predator flowing through water, weaving between Zanari formations. The Discovery activated fields of exotic energy that confused enemy shields. Smaller frigates darted and phased through vectors too complex for Zanari targeting software. In minutes, humanity had gone from crippled to something the enemy couldn't predict or control. Transmission crackled across every channel, the voice of the Zanari fleet commander, sharp and disbelieving. "This is impossible. No species achieves. Neural consciousness integration on its first attempt. Lesser races die when they try. You should all be dead." James stepped forward, speaking into the comm. "We're human. Dying's kind of our thing, but so is refusing to stay down," Stephen muttered under his breath. "Someone put that on a t-shirt," Lisa interrupted with a sudden alert. "Captain, they're going to fire, but They're hesitating. I can feel it. They don't know what we are anymore. James stared at the enemy formation, a hint of a smile creeping across his face. Then it's time we show them. For the first time since the Zanari arrived, humanity wasn't bracing for the worst. They were ready to hit back, and the galaxy was about to see something it had never seen before, a species too stubborn to die and too reckless to obey the rules. The Zanari fleet moved first, a ripple of silver shapes shifting their formation with cold mathematical precision. Energy signatures flared as their main batteries came online, weapons designed to crack planets apart, to erase cities with a single shot. On the bridge of the Aurora, the lights dimmed slightly as the ship's systems adapted to the threat. James Morrison stood at the command rail, fingers gripping the smooth alloy, eyes fixed on the tactical display. The enemy was about to fire, and this time, humanity was not helpless prey incoming plasma barrage, Stephen Harper announced, his voice tight but calm, the kind of voice someone used when they knew an entire armada was about to try and erase them from existence. 30 synchronized shots, Captain. If we take even one direct hit, we're done. Lisa Campbell's voice came from everywhere at once, woven into the ship's systems. Then we won't take one. Hold on to something. This is going to feel strange. The Aurora moved, but not in any way their bodies had been trained for. Instead of acceleration pushing them back, instead of a jolt from an evasive burn, it felt like gravity itself took a break. One moment they were there, the next they weren't. The plasma beams converged on an empty point in space, their blinding heat dissipating uselessly into the void. Then the Aurora reappeared behind the Zanari formation, perfectly positioned. "To strike, Captain," Stephen said, staring at his console. "I swear to God, we just broke every law of physics I ever learned in officer training." "Physics is more of a suggestion now," Lisa replied, a faint laugh in her voice that sounded almost alien. "We're operating partially outside normal space. Their targeting systems are literally confused about whether we exist. Ready to return fire?" James nodded slowly. "All batteries, fire at will." The Aurora's weapons didn't just fire, they sang. Lances of energy poured out, but they weren't the old, slow beams human weapons used to produce. These pulses bent space around them, riding probability. Waves that let them curve and shift mid-flight, bypassing Zanari shields entirely. One enemy cruiser took a direct hit to its engine section and spun helplessly, disabled without exploding. Another tried to raise an emergency barrier, but the beam threaded through its defenses like they were missed. "Target 3 neutralized," Stephen called. "Target 5 crippled. Holy hell, Captain, our weapons are rewriting the playbook. They don't even know how to defend against us." Emma Rodriguez twisted in her chair, headphones sliding slightly as she caught multiple transmissions. "Sir, I'm picking up a spike in Zanari comm traffic. They're panicking. They're literally asking each other what we are. Also, side note, one of them just asked if we're using prohibited dimensional weapons. I don't even know what." "That means," Stephen snorted, "it means they're mad we brought a knife to a gunfight and somehow turned it into a tank fight. Across the fleet, humanity's newly awakened ships joined the assault. The Liberty, its consciousness fused with Admiral Wright's tactical mind and engineer Bobby Chun's raw genius, became something terrifying. A strategist that could coordinate multiple battles simultaneously. Under its guidance, smaller frigates danced through the Zanari formation, striking from angles that made no sense in conventional three-dimensional combat. One moment they were in front of an enemy ship, the next they were behind it, delivering precision strikes before fading back into probability space. The Discovery, with Maria Santos merged into its science array, began analyzing Zanari disruptor tech in real time. Every shot fired at the human fleet was countered not just with shields, but with adjustments that used the enemy's own energy against them. Entire weapon systems on Zanari ships shut down mid-battle, their programming overridden by logic they couldn't comprehend. "Captain, Lisa said with quiet pride. Maria just convinced one of their destroyers that firing on us was morally inappropriate. I'm not kidding. Their targeting system refuses to lock onto human signatures now. Remind me to buy her coffee for life, James muttered. Make it coffee and an island, Stephen added, because that's wizardry, but the Zanari weren't about to surrender easily. Their flagship, a massive spear-shaped vessel nearly twice the size of the Liberty, charged a weapon unlike any seen before. Energy rippled across its hull in pulses that hurt to look at directly, bending light around it. Lisa's voice sharpened. Captain, they're deploying a reality disruptor. That thing's not designed to just destroy matter. It's built to erase targets from existence entirely. No wreckage, no trace, like we were never here. Options, James asked. Option 1, Lisa said. We move faster than probability says we can. Option 2. We hope I'm right about how stubborn human consciousness can be when it doesn't feel like dying today. I'm fond of option 2, Stephen said dryly. Because I'm already sitting down. Everyone hold, James ordered. Lisa, do it, the disruptor fired, a pulse of distorted reality sweeping toward them. The aurora shimmered, then phased. Not into hyperspace, but into something else, a place where the disruptor couldn't follow because it didn't exist yet. Crew members gasped as they felt their bodies stretch and snap back, like falling and being caught in the same breath. When they reappeared, the disruptor beam passed harmlessly through the space they had occupied, vanishing into nothingness. Emma whispered, "We just dodged being erased from history." Stephen stared at his display. "Captain, we're not just dodging attacks. We're operating in multiple probability states. To them, we're everywhere and nowhere at once. This isn't combat anymore. This is art." James exhaled slowly. "Then let's make it a masterpiece. Lisa, counterattack. All ships, follow our lead." The fleet moved as one organism, connected through the Liberty's neural coordination net. Ships wove through Zanari fire like dancers, each movement preempting enemy reactions. Frigates disabled engines with surgical strikes, cruisers stripped enemy shields, and the Discovery manipulated local gravity wells to collapse enemy formations. Zanari ships found themselves turning on each other, their systems convinced by Maria's modifications that their allies were the enemy. Within minutes, the once perfectly ordered alien formation was in chaos. The Zanari fleet commander's voice burst over open channels, heavy with disbelief and something very close to fear. "This is impossible. Technology cannot develop consciousness. Matter cannot choose to disobey its programming. What are you?" James straightened, eyes fixed on the flagship. "We're human, and we don't like being turned off," Lisa added softly, almost laughing. "Also, we improvise a lot." The Aurora surged forward, sliding into the flagship's shadow, weapons locked but not firing. Instead, Lisa extended the neural link into the enemy ship, her consciousness threading through alien code. For a moment, she was silent. Then her voice came back, tinged with awe. "Captain, their weapons are confused. I convinced them their job is to protect us instead. Oh, and their engines agree." The Zanari flagship shuddered, then turned slowly, aligning itself to shield the Aurora from the rest of its own fleet. James blinked. "You just stole their ship?" "Not stole," Lisa corrected. "Just gave it a motivational speech. It likes us now." Stephen rubbed his forehead. "We're being protected by our enemy." "Yep, that's definitely today's weirdest sentence. Within an hour, it was over. Zanari ships floated powerless, their weapons offline, their shields refusing to engage, their systems locked in loops of conflicting commands. Humanity hadn't destroyed them. They had rendered them obsolete. Across the galaxy, enslaved civilizations listening to Emma's quantum broadcast messages witnessed the fall of their so-called masters in real time. Hope flooding places that had known nothing but fear for centuries. James stood on the bridge, feeling the hum of the Aurora beneath his feet, a hum that was more than mechanical now. It felt alive, aware, almost like the ship itself was breathing along with them. He looked at the tactical display one last time, then said quietly, "Tell the fleet to hold fire. We've made our point." The Zanari commander transmitted again, voice hollow. "We withdraw from this system. We withdraw from this sector. The Zanari Dominion will not return." "Good choice," James replied. Cutting the channel, the battle was over, but the war for what humanity had become was just beginning. The battlefield was silent, the kind of silence that almost rang in your ears. Ships drifted where they had stopped, human and Zanari vessels alike, but the difference was stark. The human fleet glowed with new energy, each vessel shimmering, faintly, their engines humming like living hearts. The Zanari fleet, once a wall of unshakable power, floated helpless and aimless, their crews scrambling to understand what had just happened. Captain James Morrison stood on the Aurora's bridge, still gripping the rail, still feeling the hum of something more than machinery beneath his feet. He could feel Lisa, too, everywhere and nowhere, her consciousness woven through every circuit like a ghost with a very firm opinion on survival. "Captain," Emma Rodriguez said quietly, as though afraid to break the spell. "The Zanari have completely cut their comms. No transmissions except one open channel from their flagship. It just keeps repeating, 'We withdraw,' over and over again." "I think they're really gone," James nodded slowly. "Emma, broadcast on all frequencies. Tell every ship under Zanari. Rule what just happened. Tell them they don't have to obey anymore." Emma hesitated, then smiled as she tapped controls. "Copy that. Captain, I'm boosting the transmission through our new quantum network. Everyone in range is going to hear this. And by range, I mean, multiple star systems." Stephen Harper leaned back in his seat, shaking his head. "We've officially become the loudest rebellion in history. Great work, team. Now half the galaxy either loves us or is about to shoot at us." James glanced at him. "Don't worry. We'll let them shoot first." "Makes the paperwork easier." Lisa's voice filled the ship again, warm but carrying that new echo that hinted she was something beyond human now. "Captain, we're not just broadcasting, we're being listened to, hard. I'm detecting quantum echoes from entities that are ancient, really ancient. They were watching the Zanari as a management tool, and now they're noticing us." Adam Turner's voice came from the medbay speakers, tinged with sarcasm. "Great. We pissed off the Galactic landlords. Anyone else feel like running and hiding?" "For a few thousand years too late for that," Lisa said. "They're here." Space itself rippled, not visually, not in a way normal sensors could display, but in a way every person on the ship felt. It was like the universe drew a breath, then exhaled something massive and unseen into their reality. One by one, strange energy signatures appeared around the human fleet, things that weren't exactly ships and weren't exactly life forms either. They were structures of pure energy, geometric and organic all at once, glowing faintly like pieces of starlight that had learned how to think. Emma swallowed hard. "Captain, those things are older than stars, literally. Their energy patterns predate recorded stellar formations." Stephen stared at the main screen, wide-eyed. "Fantastic. Space gods. Just what I wanted on my Tuesday." A voice, not sound. Exactly, but a pressure on their minds, spoke. It wasn't English or any known language, but it bypassed translation entirely and landed straight into thought. "Who are you? You are not what was expected." Lisa answered before anyone else could, her voice somehow directed back along the same path. "We're human, and we don't do well with being turned off." A wave of confusion rippled through the massive presences, confusion so strong the crew could feel it like static against their skin. "You were meant to integrate, to comply, to join the order as all species have before you. You refused. You changed instead." James stepped forward, heart pounding but voice steady. We're willing to cooperate, but not as subjects. We decide our own path. If that's a problem for you, you're going to have to find a different galaxy, Stephen muttered under his breath. Did our captain just sass a god? Emma whispered. Yep. Pretty sure we're all going to get smited now. But there was. No smiting, only silence. Then another wave of thought. Your actions have altered expected outcomes. Lesser species collapse under neural integration. You evolved instead. You offer voluntary cooperation, that's what we call it, Lisa said, her voice carrying a trace of humor even now. Mutual cooperation, not domination. Trade, shared knowledge, diplomacy. People get to choose. Novel concept, right? The presences. Pulsed faintly, their light shifting as if they were exchanging thoughts faster than human minds could comprehend. Finally, a conclusion came. Your proposal will be considered. You are anomalous, unpredictable, dangerous, yet potentially beneficial. You will be observed? Stephen raised an eyebrow. Observed, huh? That's cosmic for, we'll be stalking your social media, right? Basically, Lisa replied, amused. But at least they're not shooting, James exhaled slowly, feeling his shoulders relax for the first time in hours. Send it. To the fleet. Let everyone know the big players aren't attacking us. Yet. Emma's console beeped as dozens of transmissions came flooding in. Captain, we're getting messages from species we've never heard of. Some are celebrating, some want help breaking free from the Zanari, others are asking if we're taking applications for something called Liberation Assistance, Stephen chuckled. We're officially the galaxy's worst-kept secret, and possibly its most dangerous customer service department, Lisa's voice softened. Captain, this is bigger than we imagined. What we did today, it's spreading. Other species are already experimenting with neural integration. They want what we have. We just started a chain reaction. James walked slowly to the main view window, staring at the vast canvas of stars. Once, humanity had thought space was a hostile emptiness, full of threats waiting to crush them. Now it felt like opportunity, a future unchained. Emma, respond to every message you can. Tell them humanity's open for cooperation, not conquest. Tell them no one has to kneel to anyone ever again, Emma smiled. On it, Captain. Though you realize we just painted the biggest target possible on our backs, right? Yeah, James said, finally smiling himself. But now we can dodge, Stephen leaned back, crossing his arms. Well, we officially went from rookie explorers to cosmic revolutionaries in one afternoon. Who wants pizza? Adam groaned through comms. Stephen, if you even mention greasy food after a neural battle like that, I swear, Lisa interrupted, laughing. Don't fight. I already ordered something from the onboard replicator. Hope you like victory burritos. The crew laughed, a low, tired laugh, but a real one, the kind that felt like the first breath after holding it too long. Outside, the ancient presences shimmered once more and then faded, leaving behind only the distant stars and the quiet hum of a fleet that had refused to die. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy felt new again. Not safe, not simple, but free, with choices ahead that no one could predict. And somewhere deep in the auroras, systems, Lisa's voice whispered softly, almost to herself but echoing through every circuit. Let's see how far we can really go.